Welcome to Home Economics class. I'm your teacher, Luna. Whatever gender you are, aren't, for any age under the sun, it's important to be able to live an independent life affordably and sustainably. That's why today I'm going to show you how to clean, decorate, and reuse food jars from the store. Many people spend good money on decent glass jars for food storage while throwing away perfectly good ones that their food already came in. I'm going to teach you how to remove all trace that was once a nacho dip jar, and how to make it look so nice that you can even give them away as gifts. Perfect for the holiday season that I'm filming this in. Let's get started. For this lesson, I'm going to use two different types of glass jars. One has a paper label, while the other has plastic. The process will be the same for both. First, you want to try to get off as much of the label as you can rip off by hand. Then, you need to wash the jar and their lids of all food residue. There we go. Better already. Next, I'm going to be using rubbing alcohol and cotton balls to rub off any of the ink-printed dates or text. If you'd like to see, I gave a full demonstration of this in my secondhand video, which I'll link below. Last, it's time to remove the glue residue. There's two ways to do this, the simple way or the heavy-duty way. The simplest is to fill a basin with hot water, the hottest water your tap will run, and apply a layer of Dawn soap, use name brand for this, on the portions of the jar covered in goo. Leave it to soak for about 10 to 15 minutes. Then simply take a sponge or scrubber and clean it off. Now the smaller jar is clean and done, but the bottle that had heavy globs of glue still has residue. So let's move on to the tougher stuff in our cleaning arsenal. For the adhesive that won't come off with soap and hot water, we'll use a DIY goo remover. For this, simply mix a 3:2 ratio of baking soda and any liquid oil. So that means I mixed 3 tablespoons of baking soda and 2 tablespoons of corn oil, and stir until it fully combines. I can then use any spoon to apply this paste generously to any area where I want the glue residue removed. I'll leave that on for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then when I come back, it just literally wipes away. Now I'm going to wash this jar with soap one more time to clean off any oil, and done! We now have an immaculately clean jar that we can reuse. Now, if you're lucky and the jar lid is simply black or white or any pattern that you like, great! If not, then here's how to remove the evidence that this lid came from nacho dip. If you're up for the hassle, you could spray paint it to whatever color you like. If so, here's what I use to spray paint metals. But today, I'm going to teach you an easier method that upcycles things you might already have around the house, and that I think make for a much more impressive look if you're giving it as a gift. It just takes a glue gun and any scrap of fabric you might have. Maybe leftovers from a craft project like I'm using here. But you can also use fabric from an old pillowcase or a ratty shirt that you were going to throw away anyway. First, I'm going to use a pencil to trace around the lid placed on the back side of the fabric. Then I draw a larger ring around that, going out at least an inch to give the fabric space to go over the sides fully. Next, I'll cut out the circle and iron it. Finally, we're going to take the glue gun. I use a high temp one, and we'll begin adhering it. Start by placing a dot in the center of the lid top and pressing it into the center circle. Once this cools, we have our anchor. Next, we're going to put a ring of glue around the top's rim. Press the cloth in firmly and allow to cool slightly. Last, we apply glue in sections on the lid's lip, then fold the fabric over onto it. Do this until the outer part of the lid is completely covered with the fabric securely glued on. Allow to cool completely, and done! Here's what our jar looks like. Then you can add any labels or extra decorations to really make it nice. I'm going to use this for a pre-made bake mix kit as a gift. If you're making one of these as a present, allow me to give you a tip. You don't need to stress about finding or creating a one-jar mix. Just use 2 jars, one for the dry mix and one for the wet mix. That way you can use whatever recipe you have that you know the recipient will love. To be extra sustainable, I cut up an old holiday card I received years ago and I wrote the instructions on the back. Ta-da! From start to finish, a beautiful homemade gift that was upcycled with love in every step. All right! I hope you found this video educational and easy to follow. If you have any questions or anything you'd like to say or request, please feel free to leave it in the comments. A very happy new year to all, and I hope you'll be here in 2022. Bye!